Hi, my name is Valerie Felipe, and in this digital presentation, I will be discussing the aging topic of intergenerational relationships and bonding. For anyone new to the term intergenerational relationship, it refers to the interaction of members of different generations. In today's society, individuals can face difficulty when it comes to connecting with peers from different age groups, and this issue is characterized as a generational gap. Intergenerational relationships allow younger and older generations to get to know one another and allow them to better themselves in our society. In the brief video on the next slide, high school and college students in Media, Pennsylvania, who work in the dining room at the Lima Estates retirement home, have formed extremely close connections with the elderly residents living there.
A Delaware County retirement community is bridging the gap between old and young. Action News anchor Tamla Edwards has the story in today's Art of Aging report.
At Lima Estates and Media, high school and college students are hired to work the dining room.
Having young people around when you live in a retirement community is probably one of the best things that happens.
And here the young people receive sensitivity training to help them better relate to the challenges of aging.
I thought, okay, I'm just gonna come in, just do what I have to do, but you really get to know the people.
They make you feel a part of their life, and they don't look down upon the fact that we might be a little bit older.
In fact, the young people grow so close to the seniors that they often invite them to games, graduations, even their weddings.
I love it. It's awesome. They're always asking, how's school going? How are your grades?
Megan is one of my favorite servers.
It's social and it's all about relationships. They really feed off of one another and the residents feel it. It's a family.
I was thinking of working the emergency room.
That would be perfect.
It's like another grandmother, grandfather. It's like you have more than one. They look out for you.
Always said I wanted to be a nurse.
They think of us as grandparents. We think of them as grandkids. I have a young man here who calls me grandmom.
The students are paid and also get college scholarship vouchers, along with a daily living lesson in history.
Most likely, whatever they're going to school for, there's somebody here that's did it for 50 years, and they can kind of be something of a mentor.
They've been in the military, they've been all over the world, a place I want to go.
For both the seniors and the students, it's a win.
And learn new things from us, and we learn stuff from them.
Tamla Edwards, Channel 6 Action News.
In the Intergenerations Unit Introduction, Professor Majeroff offers benefits of intergenerational relationships which are closely related to the video. One benefit introduced by Professor Majeroff is that intergenerational relationships can reduce the likelihood of depression. At the beginning of the video, Ray Foley, a resident at Lima Estates, mentions that having young people around when you live in a retirement community is probably one of the best things that happens. In many cases, elderly residents in a retirement home are more prone to developing depression due to the fact that they may feel alone if their family members do not make time to visit them. Viewers can sense the joy that she feels from the presence of the high school and college students. This specific scenario of Mrs. Foley's contentment from having the company of the students exemplifies how intergenerational relationships can be a preventative element for the development of depression in elderly residents. Another benefit that Professor Majeroff provides is that intergenerational relationships fill a void for children who do not have grandparents available to them. In the video, Cecilia Stevenson, a resident of Lima Estates, said, "They think of us as grandparents, we think of them as grandkids. I have a young man who calls me grandmom." It is very common for younger generations to not have grandparents available to them because they have passed away, or possibly because their grandparents may live in another town, state, or country. Sometimes elderly residents at retirement homes may also not have grandchildren because they chose not to get married, or if their children decided not to have a family of their own. The intergenerational relationship between the students and the elderly residents at Lima Estates provides a grandchild-grandparent bonding experience not only for the children who don't have grandparents available to them, but also for the elderly residents who don't have grandchildren. An additional benefit that is introduced to us is that intergenerational relationships give the child and older adult a sense of purpose. In the video, the high school and college students receive sensitivity training, which informs them about the challenges of aging and motivates them to provide the residents with the best service in the dining room. The fact that the students are often relying on the residents of Lima Estates for advice when it comes to school-related matters or career choices helps the elderly feel needed because their previous experiences are of good use for others. In Professor Madroff's Intergenerations lecture PowerPoint, she examines the 4 R's of intergenerational relationships, which are respect, responsibility, reciprocity, and resiliency. These are the 4 terms that generally characterize intergenerational relationships. Many examples in the video can relate to these terms in some way. The first R used to describe intergenerational relationships is respect. In the video, the news anchor Tamala Edwards states that, in fact, the young people grow so close to the seniors that they often invite them to games, graduations, and even their weddings. The close bonds formed between them result in the development of mutual respect, which enhances their relationship and causes them to play more important roles in each other's lives. The advice that the students seek from the elderly residents and the new skills or ideas that the residents learn from the students also empowers the respect that these groups have for one another. Lima Estates resident Susan Fisher said, "They make you feel that you're a part of their life. They don't look down upon the fact that we might be a little older." This statement provided by the resident reveals how the respect that the students provide the residents with have a significant effect on strengthening their intergenerational relationships and bonds. The second R of intergenerational relationships is responsibility. In the Intergenerations PowerPoint, we learn about filial responsibility, which is a sense of personal obligation for the well-being of aging family members. Although students may not be family members of the residents at Lima Estates, filial responsibility can be a probable influence for the decisions of high school and college students to provide their services at the dining room of the Lima Estates retirement home because they may feel inspired to give back to the elderly community. The third R that characterizes intergenerational relationships is reciprocity. Reciprocity is a quality or state of providing mutual advantages or benefits. Dennis Napier, the Director of Culinary and Nutritional Services at Lima Estates, said, "Most likely, no matter what they're going to school for, there's somebody here who did it for 50 years, and they can be something of a mentor." His statement demonstrates how the intergenerational relationships and bonding between the students and the elderly residents at Lima Estates enables the elderly residents to receive the best quality service in the dining room, but also provides students with opportunities to seek guidance from the residents because they can be treated as mentors. The fourth and final R of intergenerational relationships is resiliency. In the Intergenerations lecture PowerPoint, Professor Madroff discusses how the resiliency of intergenerational relationships can provide an emotional and physical support system for younger generations. In the video, the advice and support that the older adult residents provide the high school and college students can make up for any shortcomings of their parents at home. I believe that it is important to examine this media piece in order to develop a thorough understanding of the benefits of intergenerational relationships. This media piece can influence younger generations to reflect on how they can become more involved in the community in order to enhance their social interaction with older adults. Viewers are able to appreciate how intergenerational relationships can offer advantages for both younger and older generations, which can be beneficial for these groups for their future endeavors in our society. Whether intergenerational relationships and bonds are formed between family members such as grandparents and grandchildren, or other individuals such as high school or college students and elderly residents at a retirement home, it is evident that the connections formed between older and younger generations are meaningful experiences that will always be valuable for the progression of our society. I would like to thank you for taking the time to view my presentation and for considering the significance of the aging topic of intergenerational relationships and bonds.